What's up everyone, Joe Gray here today to talk about cable attachments for biceps. My journey as a cable attachment fiend has been in full effect for close to a decade, as I perform a large majority of my accessory work on a cable machine, and arm day definitely fits that bill. As a torso heavy powerlifter, arms have historically been a weak point for me, so cable attachments for biceps have been a strong focus of my research in the past several years. Where I love one or two attachment types for back day, I tend to have a larger variety for biceps. Today we are going to take a look at my favorite cable attachments for training biceps, mix in some anatomy, and some tips and tricks for getting the most out of your cable attachments as well. If you didn't know, this video is part of a series on cable attachments where I've done the same thing with back, legs, chest, and shoulders, as well as listed out what I believe to be the first 5 attachments you should add to your collection. If that sounds like something that jives with you, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Some quick housekeeping items for you. Some of these attachments I bought myself. Some were sent to me for free. Some I have affiliate links, and others I have nothing at all. So to keep it simple, let's just say that at the end of this video, if you want to grab anything I mentioned today, I will have links in the description for you. Using those links will help what I do and cost you nothing. I appreciate your support. Let's dig into some cable attachments. All right, let's kick it off with a quick biceps breakdown. The biceps itself is made up of 2 muscles, hence biceps. The short head, which sits on the inside of the arm, and the long head, which sits on the back side of the arm. Then we have the brachialis, which is a big muscle that sits essentially underneath the biceps. Not technically part of the biceps, but the brachialis is an important piece to the puzzle for having bigger biceps because it can add size to your arms from different angles and help lift the bicep itself up, making it appear larger and potentially adding to that peak. These muscles do a few jobs, but the 2 that dramatically impact our exercise selection and thus cable attachment preferences are that they help us flex the elbows and supinate the wrists. The key here is that the biceps themselves do the supination, while the brachialis does not contribute to supination. So anytime we bring our palms up, say we curl with a straight bar, we are hitting the biceps basically entirely, and not the brachialis at all. As soon as we transition to, say, an easy curl bar, the brachialis starts to kick in, and as we get completely neutral, it is a brachialis dominant movement. So keep those concepts in mind as we move into our discussion on cable attachments. First up on my list for my favorite cable attachments for biceps are the KAZ Handles from Prime Fitness. The KAZ handles have a cone shape to them, which means you get the benefit of a thicker handle without the negatives of it potentially impacting your grip. The cone helps conform to the natural shape of your hand, meaning that it can work a little better, not harder, meaning we can focus more effort on the muscles we want to hit, the biceps. They are lightly knurled, and the big winner here is that they can be used for both fully supinated and neutral variations for curls. The KAZ handles originally come with these straps that run through them alongside carabiners on both ends. I replaced the carabiners with some shackles that I believe work better and reduce some of the weight and kind of clumsiness to them. I may have just made up that word, you get it. Others have gone the route of connecting with belt-fed strength to get a leather strap that has additional shackle options on it as well. So depending on your own preferences, there are some DIY and customization options out there. The 2 main exercise options I perform with the KAZ handles both have me facing away from a dual cable functional trainer. Both heads of the bicep cross the shoulder joint, so if we can get a deeper stretch by having our arms start behind our body, it might just lead to better hypertrophy. The first exercise is a typical cable curl with my hands fully supinated. The second is a neutral cable curl. The supinated curl variation ranked in the S tier of Jeff Nippard's favorite bicep exercises video due to the stretch and, of course, the even tension we get from a cable machine. And as usual, Jeff is spot on. This is a fantastic exercise. Let's walk through the execution of these lifts and why I believe these should be at the top of the list for your next biceps day. First, if you have the option, I definitely toy around with a few settings. Play with the height of the cables, play with standing versus seated, and play with how far out you stand away from the cable machine itself. All of these are going to impact the feeling, the stability, your strength, the stretch, all kinds of stuff, and how this in general feels. One size does not fit all, so again, play with it, see what works best for you. I typically like to perform these seated on my bench because I can be fully upright, get the shoulder pulled back, thus the biceps fully behind my torso, which puts a massive stretch on the biceps as they tie into the shoulder. I like to have the cable height set to right around hand height to continue to improve the tension in that stretch position. There's a cue that runs through my head on this one I picked up from my dude David at Iron Necklace Barbell a long time ago, that wherever you start the movement from, you want to keep your elbows locked there throughout the entire movement. Especially for this one, it will make sure that that stretch and tension stays where we want it and the biceps really get annihilated in this. For the neutral variation, the same concepts apply. You're just going to unhook one side on the KAZ handles and get to work. Same thing, keep that shoulder back and see how these feel. One thing you'll notice with the KAZ handles, and the reason I really enjoy them for the neutral work, is that this lip helps give you a little security and stability that your hand isn't going to go anywhere. Much better than an open cone shaped design. If you don't have a cable option, you can get creative here and use a darker longy bar and a single cable. You might need some strap extensions like daisy chains or something, but you can get there. Next up, we're going to look at a few options for a more traditional cable curl. While we don't get the same stretch that we do with the facing away variation, there is still some benefit to these movements, typically from an overload stance, meaning that you can normally handle more weight with two hands working together than an individual hand or individual hands working at the same time. First on this list is a pretty basic one from Bells of Steel. This bar has some very basic knurling, overall isn't super fancy, and there's definitely some room to improve, but it has a few things I really like. I personally prefer an easy curl option as it doesn't annoy my wrist and elbows as much as a straight bar. I also prefer a fatter grip, hence the selection of this piece today. The rotation in the center of the handle is sufficient. The knurling is, it's there. But one of the other standout pieces here is that it can actually be used as a traditional easy curl bar as well as a cable attachment, which in a home gym is nice to not have to own both. I do own both, but you don't have to, so that's a potential win there. Keep in mind, some people do not like fat grip implements. My dude over at Home Gyms Hacks and Reviews has specifically said this himself.
As I've mentioned before, my thumb does not like a fat grip.
So your mileage may vary there. I find it makes my hands, wrists, and elbows less cranky and potentially has some positive carryover to forearm size as well. Second on the list is the Supra Curl Bar from Troy VTX. This bar allows you to rotate your hands from neutral to supination from within the handle itself. The bar is chromed with a black finish on the handles. It rotates in the center as well as the handles very smoothly with no restrictions. The cool thing here is that you can actually get pretty creative with this attachment. So you can let it do its thing and simply curl in a very natural pattern, letting your hands move as it feels right as you go up or down on the lift. Or you can perform a reverse Zotman curl, another A-tier exercise in Jeff Nippard's list. This is where we perform a neutral curl up, rotate our hands, and do a supinated curl down. The reason for this is twofold. First, you're now training both the brachialis and the biceps in one movement. Second, you are often stronger in a neutral fashion than you are supinated, meaning you can likely overload the biceps on the eccentric by lifting more in the concentric. This is not the first of its kind, by the way. There was an older Gaspari bar that had similar function that was supposed to be remade recently by Criterion. The one big negative of this cable attachment is that it can be hard to find. You are going to need to do some Google work here to find one of the available attachments if you decide that this is your next edition. Third on the list is the Atlas bar. I picked this up on a recommendation from a buddy over on Reddit r home gym, who is a cable attachment fiend like myself. The bar has a simple straight handle that you hold onto, paired with a second straight handle that has paddings on it. This keeps your wrists in a neutral fashion, meaning you take any torque off of them that typically can lead to tennis elbow pain. A big knock on this cable attachment is that the pads that come with it are pretty subpar. I happen to have some roller pads lying around that I replaced them with, and the carabiner situation is a little weak. I replaced mine with a nice swivel shackle. I found that this bar seems to let me handle more weight compared to the other bars in this category, likely because it is improving the stability in my wrists. If you want to get crazy here, you can also change the grip orientation by adding fat grips, cone grips, or even the easy bar style grips from Engage Grips. Since out of the box this is a fully straight bar attachment though, it does reduce the wrist and elbow issues and it lets me handle more weight. It is a nice tool in the toolbox for some direct biceps work. I'll also note that this bar can be used for triceps, pullovers, and a few other movements, so it isn't a one-trick pony like the Supra Curl Bar either. Regardless of which of these you use, or even a basic straight bar for curls, you can use a couple of tips and tricks to get a little more out of it. First, you can actively cue for supination, which means you are putting more focus into one of the two primary roles for the biceps. By pushing through the pinkies and twisting your hand into the bar, you are cueing that supination piece and, in theory, creating a bigger mind-muscle connection with the biceps themselves. Second, and this is a big one for those of us that have struggled to build our biceps over the years, is to focus on constant tension in the biceps. The best cue I've ever had for this came from Christian Thibodeau. The cue was that we want to squeeze the biceps so hard that we need to actively flex the triceps to lower the bar back down. This changed the way I train biceps and has been a cue that runs through my head consistently ever since. Next on our list is one I use exclusively for the neutral grip brachialis training, and that is the rolling top curl from Arm Assassin. Arm Assassin makes implements for grip enthusiasts, and oddly enough, they love themselves some big arms. The top curl comes in a few form factors, but the one I bought integrates with their Napalm Nightmare system, which means I can change out the grips to a number of different styles, which is the first unique part of the puzzle for the top curl. When performing neutral curls, which target the brachialis, we see the second unique part of this attachment, the chain strap. Because it rolls over the top of the attachment, it is actively pulling your wrist down, which means you need to actively pull it up to finish the rep. This is targeting the brachioradialis on top of the forearm. I tend to do as many reps as I can in this format, then flip it over, so now the chain strap isn't in play, and I can finish the set with getting kind of a burnout of as many reps as I can for the brachialis by itself. Now, you could, if you wanted to, simply use it that way, the way I do at the end, to target the brachialis on its own. But, I mean, you don't want to walk around with huge biceps and tiny forearms, right? Okay, the third group of cable attachments I want to toss out there today are the ones that either I don't own, or maybe I do, but just don't use as often as the others mentioned so far. First up are the Hog Legs boar tusks from LPG Muscle. I own these and they make it in the rotation occasionally. LPG makes mostly fat grip implements. They are all powder coated with a large focus on grip. What I like about the boar tusks is actually the ability to do a reverse curl variation with the tusks while having my hands up against the straight bar portion. This is a good addition to some brachialis training and also includes some direct forearm work as well. You can use this for straight bar curls, tricep pushdowns, and more, so once again, this isn't a one-trick pony either. Second is the dual ball grip from FitBar Strong. Their lineup is really focused more on the Ninja Warrior world, which is how I found them in the first place, looking for stuff for my daughter. But the dual ball grip is a unique neutral handle option for curls. I think they actually list it as a triceps piece, but I tend to use it for curls. I don't think it is the best in this class. It definitely limits the weight you can use, but if you are a grip focused person trying to get some work in for the arms, this is definitely a unique combo. Third is the CUBB Cable Bar. This bar has some of the same unique concepts as a SupraCurl, allowing you to supinate your hands, but with the unique addition of the bands adding resistance directly to that supination. I've seen this bar be used for a lot of movements that I think are grossly over-exaggerated in terms of their benefit, but this is one that might just check the right boxes. Fourth is the BT bar from Savage Strength. This is a play on the Atlas bar where we get some better execution of the rotation, knurled handles, and some options around stainless steel, rotating grips, you name it. This bar has been picking up some steam in the underground home gym chats and could be a contender against the Atlas. The last one on the list is the American Barbell V-Bar. This thing is simple and well executed and is a fan favorite and easy to use. It tends to be the go-to for my wife because of that. When I'm introducing curls to a lot of the girls that show up in our gym, the soccer players and stuff, at a lot of times is the one we use. It is just a very simple bar. It works. You don't have to explain how it works. It's a good piece. And just like with the back day video, I'll finish by saying you need to take a look at your wants with a cable attachment. Tsunami Bar makes a number of attachments, American Barbell and Rogue make basic and well executed curl bars. If you want the fanciest of all cable attachments, you can snag ones from Black Iron Strength. The possibilities are endless. You just got to decide what is right for you and your home gym. And that, my friends, are my favorite cable attachments for biceps. What do you think? Do you own any of these? Maybe I missed your favorite cable attachment for biceps. Maybe you learned about a new one you're gonna add today, or at least took home some tips and tricks to better execute your lifts. Let me know in the comments. Remember that I've got links in the description for everything I mentioned today, as well as for you to check out the rest of the videos in the series. And if you liked the video, hit that thumbs up. If you want to see more of what I got coming, hit that subscribe button, and I'll be back with more home gym awesomes for all of you very soon.